Monica McNutt just claimed Caitlin Clark's popularity is because she's a white girl from Middle America, not because she's breaking records left and right, swishing logo threes, bringing new fans to the game, or revolutionizing women's basketball. Seriously, here's Monica McNutt, ESPN broadcaster, covers the WNBA. Not a bad broadcaster, but she just can't help herself. When given a chance to talk about Caitlin Clark, they're always going to racialize it and try to demonize Caitlin Clark's fan base. In this video, we're exposing this ridiculous take that has basketball fans everywhere furious, plus Jason Whitlock's brutal takedown that left McNutt scrambling for cover. The disrespect toward Clark has reached new heights. Did Monica McNutt really just try to reduce the most exciting player in women's basketball to nothing more than her appearance and hometown? In a BBC interview with Caddy K, McNutt claimed Caitlin Clark's popularity stemmed from being a white girl from the middle of America, rather than her exceptional skills. This dismissive take ignited immediate outrage across social media, with fans calling out McNutt for diminishing Clark's unprecedented impact on the game. Let's get this straight. Clark isn't breaking viewership records because of her demographic profile. She's doing it by shattering the NCAA scoring record, hitting logo threes that make defenders look helpless, threading no-look passes that would make Larry Bird proud, and displaying court vision that transforms entire offenses. Even Magic Johnson pretty much said this. Yet somehow, McNutt decided to focus on Clark's race instead of her revolutionary playing style. Fans weren't having it. "Fire her," wrote one user on X. Another didn't mince words. "This woman does nothing but give bad takes. I have no idea why she's even on ESPN." The backlash wasn't limited to any single demographic. Basketball lovers of all backgrounds united to defend Clark's legitimacy as a sports phenomenon. What's particularly telling about McNutt's take is what she conveniently ignored. If being a white girl from Middle America was the secret sauce for WNBA stardom, why haven't players like Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Sue Bird, or Cameron Brink achieved Clark's level of popularity? If how one looks was the primary factor driving Clark's appeal, these other ladies would have garnered similar attention. But they haven't. Bella Dye, Sabrina, Brianna, Kelsey, Diana Taurasi. You had and have these white players in the league that never galvanize the people like this, right? Now, granted, you can have some people come back and say, well, the media and the coverage wasn't as good as it is now. NILs and things like that weren't popping off. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it, man. If they were that captivating, they would have got the eyes. The irony here is glaring. In trying to make a point about representation in sports, McNutt ended up undermining a female athlete who's doing more to grow women's basketball than perhaps anyone in history. She reduced Clark's hard work, dedication, and generational talent to nothing more than her identity, all while claiming to support women's sports. And then when you add in that she shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson and Pistol Pete Maravich, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists, that she's a great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play. The backlash against McNutt has been so intense that fans are calling for ESPN to reconsider her role. When a sports analyst misses the mark this badly, ignoring the actual basketball reasons behind a player's popularity, viewers naturally question their credibility and objectivity. The controversy has exposed the high stakes of sports commentary in today's media landscape, where analysts are increasingly held accountable for their words. What's most revealing is how fans from every background have rallied around Clark. Basketball lovers across America have united in appreciation of Clark's game, proving her appeal transcends racial boundaries. This widespread support underscores the power of sports to bring people together, rather than divide them along demographic lines. This isn't just about one bad interview. McNutt's dismissive attitude toward Clark has been brewing for years. The receipts go back to 2024, when McNutt had the audacity to claim that Clark deserved only 60% of the credit for the Indiana Fever making the playoffs. 60%? For the player who transformed a franchise? This wasn't an isolated hot take. It was the beginning of a pattern. You know what really shows McNutt's bias? Her stance on the Rookie of the Year race. When it came time to pick between Clark and Angel Reese, McNutt didn't even try to hide her favoritism. She claimed her decision would be based on team standings, conveniently when Reese's Chicago Sky were in playoff position. This is the same award that has historically focused on individual performance, not team success. It's like McNutt was creating a special new criteria just to avoid giving Clark her due. The goalposts never stay in one place with McNutt. When Clark dominated statistically, suddenly team success mattered most. When Clark's team started winning, McNutt would pivot to criticizing her defense. When Clark improved defensively, there'd be some new standard to meet. For someone who claims to be an objective analyst, McNutt's evaluation of Clark looks suspiciously like a predetermined conclusion in search of evidence. What makes this so frustrating is how differently McNutt treats other players. The enthusiasm she shows when discussing certain WNBA stars vanishes when Clark's name comes up. Her body language changes, her tone shifts, and suddenly she becomes the harshest critic in the room. Watch any panel discussion where Clark's achievements come up. McNutt's discomfort is palpable, like she's physically allergic to acknowledging Clark's impact on the game. While Caitlin is fantastic and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA, there are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that. This goes deeper than just one analyst's opinion. McNutt represents an old guard that feels threatened by Clark's ability to bring new fans to women's basketball. These established media voices built their platforms on certain narratives about the WNBA, and Clark's explosive popularity challenges those narratives. McNutt's resistance isn't about Clark's skills, it's about what Clark represents. A changing of the guard that some in media aren't ready to accept. The resistance to Clark's meteoric rise was about to face its most direct challenge yet. As the anti-Clark narratives reached fever pitch, Jason Whitlock stepped into the arena with a take so unfiltered it forced everyone to confront what was really happening beneath the surface of the WNBA's marketing strategy. On his show Fearless, Whitlock cut right to what he saw as the heart of the matter. There's that kernel and element of truth. That Caitlin Clark and all the little suburban white girls that have hopped on board with the WNBA have hopped on board because Caitlin Clark does, she resonates with them. While his language was provocative, his point struck a chord with many fans frustrated by what they perceived as an agenda-driven bias against Clark. Whitlock didn't stop there. He positioned Clark as something the league seemed afraid to embrace. A relatable figure who plays with joy rather than attitude. She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement, he emphasized, suggesting the Iowa star represented values that connected with audiences who felt alienated by the league's prevailing narratives. The reaction to Whitlock's comments revealed a fascinating divide in how fans perceived the WNBA's marketing approach. Many rallied behind his assessment, with one fan on X stating plainly, "Yes, people find that relatable." Another supporter expanded on this sentiment. "She reflects values that are relatable to kids. That's regardless of color." These responses highlight a crucial disconnect between the league's messaging and a significant portion of potential viewers. They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be entitled, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable. I do, and I don't like everything Caitlin Clark does. What makes Whitlock's intervention significant isn't just the controversy it generated, but how it exposed the paradox at the heart of this debate. The WNBA finds itself in the awkward position of simultaneously celebrating Clark's unprecedented ability to attract new viewers while allowing voices like McNutt to undermine the very qualities that make Clark appealing to those new audiences. The uncomfortable truth Whitlock forced into the spotlight is that the league appears caught between two competing visions. One embraces Clark's mass appeal and uses it to grow women's basketball, while the other seems determined to minimize her impact in service of existing power structures and narratives. What's particularly revealing is how this debate has exposed fissures in the WNBA's marketing strategy. By allowing analysts like McNutt to frame Clark's popularity as merely a function of race, they risk alienating the very audience segments that Clark has successfully brought to the table. The irony is that Clark's appeal transcends the racial boundaries both McNutt and aspects of Whitlock's argument suggest. Her draw isn't limited to suburban white fans. It extends to basketball lovers of all backgrounds who respond to her electric style of play, her competitive fire, and her genuine love for the game. You get the energy that you put out. You put off this angry, entitled, I'm mad at the world energy. People aren't attracted to you, other than other angry, entitled people. So, we're moving into Kate hate season. Everybody's looking for their relevance through Caitlin Clark. I am right now. I like talking about Caitlin Clark. Yes, she pissed me off this off-season. But I like talking about her because what she represents, the conversation she sparks, speaks to the larger culture. Clark's electric style and competitive fire aren't just winning over fans. They're becoming the cornerstone of something much bigger in Indianapolis. The franchise that hasn't won a championship in over a decade has quietly assembled a roster that's about to shock the basketball world. While the talking heads waste breath on manufactured controversies, the Indiana Fever are building what could become the WNBA's next powerhouse. You'll find a team loaded with untapped potential. The transformation starts with Caitlin Clark, the generational player that led the league in assists last year while averaging 19 points per game, being selected as an All-Star, All-WNBA, and Rookie of the Year. Aaliyah Boston, who's developing into a dominant force down low, gives the Fever something most teams desperately lack, a genuine post threat who can control the paint on both ends. Pair that with Kelsey Mitchell's pure scoring ability, and suddenly you're looking at the framework of a dangerous offense. What's flying completely under the radar is Lexi Hull's emergence as a reliable two-way player who's finding her confidence at exactly the right time. Providing the hustle and grit during tough times, this young core would be promising enough on its own, but the Fever's front office hasn't stopped there. Their off-season moves show they're all in on becoming contenders now. The additions of Dewana Bonner and Natasha Howard bring championship pedigree and defensive intensity that this young squad desperately needed. Sophie Cunningham adds shooting depth, while veterans Sydney Colson and Brianna Turner provide the kind of locker room leadership and defensive tenacity that transforms good teams into great ones. What makes this rebuild special is how perfectly these pieces complement each other. The Clark-Boston pick-and-roll partnership showed flashes of brilliance last season, with Clark's pinpoint passing finding Boston for easy buckets. As that chemistry develops, it could become one of the most unstoppable offensive weapons in the league. Defenses already struggle to contain Clark's range. Now they'll have to deal with multiple threats at every position. Here's what Coach Stephanie White has to say about this duo. When you think about the great point guards and post players that our game, not just our league, but our game has seen, they are going to go in history as the greatest. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have to build from those starting points and build out, and for the longevity that those two could have. In Indiana, in Indianapolis, and hanging banners in this building, with 41 nationally televised games next season, the spotlight will shine brighter than ever on this young team. That kind of exposure creates tremendous pressure, but it also accelerates development. Players rise to the occasion when they know the basketball world is watching. The Fever's style of play is evolving to maximize their unique talents. Expect to see a faster-paced offense that leverages Clark's transition passing and deep shooting range. This won't be the plodding Fever of old. They'll push tempo, space the floor, and create mismatches that leave opponents scrambling. The defensive improvements from their new additions should help them become the kind of two-way team that makes serious playoff noise. Conservative projections put the Fever as a top 3 team next season, but that severely underestimates what's brewing in Indianapolis. This team has legitimate championship potential, which would represent one of the most dramatic turnarounds in recent WNBA history. When you look at the numbers, it's impossible to deny the Caitlin Clark effect. The WNBA is experiencing unprecedented growth in viewership and attendance, not because of some superficial qualities critics like McNutt want to fixate on, but because Clark plays basketball in a way that captivates people. What we're witnessing isn't just about one player. It's about a transformative moment for women's basketball. The Indiana Fever is at the center of a cultural shift that's attracting new fans of all backgrounds to the sport. The critics can keep talking. Clark will keep shooting from the logo, making impossible passes, and bringing more eyes to the game she loves.